Here for you.
Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening and welcome to Friday Sport Preview. Rob Pritchard and the team with you here for the next hour to take a look at the latest sporting action coming up on the Isle of Man and beyond this weekend. So, coming up tonight, two top-of-the-table battles in the Canada Life Men's Premier League and Division 2 will feature in this weekend's Isle of Man football clashes. After bouncing back with a victory in midweek, FC Isle of Man are on the road again tomorrow with the manager believing there's more to come from his squad. Two Island rugby sides are back in action on Saturday with Douglas and Vagabonds hoping to improve on slow starts to their seasons, and three mixed Premier League sides are targeting 4 straight wins going into the latest Island hockey fixtures. That is all to come this evening. A very warm welcome to you on this beautiful Isle of Man evening going into the weekend. Welcome to Friday Sport Preview. We'll be with you for the next hour or so, taking a look at all the football, rugby and hockey action coming up this weekend and beyond. We're going to be turning our attentions, as usual, to football first, and plenty to talk about this evening. We're going to turn our attention to the local scene first, and we will be hearing in the next few minutes, in fact, from two representatives in Manx football, on and off the pitch, out in the west of the island, to get their thoughts on the early stages of the season. But before that, we're going to take a look through the fixtures, and that means bringing in Tony Mepham as usual. Tony, good evening.
Good evening, Rob. We normally look at the weather this sort of stage of the night.
The customary look out the window.
Yeah, exactly. The Thursday night it didn't look so good.
It didn't, did it?
Yesterday, morning wasn't so good, but I'm glad to say I think all pitches have got a clean bill of health. We've got one postponement, Rob, which I don't know if you've picked up on combination one. It's the St George's game. St George's can't field a team tomorrow, so that one's been postponed.
Okay, so if you missed that just a moment ago, as Tony has pointed out, Canada Life Combination 1, the fixture between Peel and St George's is postponed. St George's, I think you said they were unable to field a team, sadly. Yeah. Anyway, let's take a look through the fixtures that are currently due to take place as we pray that these beautiful blue skies stick with us throughout the weekend. Let's take a look at Saturday's fixtures, all kicking off at 2:30pm with one exception, which we'll come to. We're going to start off in the top tier, and St John's United, we're going to be hearing more about them in the show in a few minutes' time. They're going to be at home up against St Mary's, Tony.
Yeah, I've got to be careful here, haven't I? Because I've got the manager just a few feet away from me. But they're flying, aren't they? Let's be honest about it. Okay, they've had some bad news over the last few days with having a 3-point deduction. We'll come to that later on. But it doesn't alter where they're playing, and they're in a really good place. I think Sam will be well chuffed where they're going. Callum Taggart's key at the moment. He's certainly a player in good form. Dean Leese as well. As first game was a little bit quiet against Peel, but since then he's come back in and done really well. And defensively, looks solid. Sam Ingham went in goal at the end. I don't know what Sam's reasons for that. I think it must have been an injury to sticks. But against St Mary's, it's going to be a tough game. And St John's know if they're going to qualify for the Plum Properties Railway Cup, they need to get 3 points out of this one. But St Mary's, with people like Joe Berquist and Owen Canepa last week, you've got Carl Clark in there as well, Frank Jones. Strong team. Because Sam's here, I'm not in fear. But I just think this one might just end up a draw. I think both teams will cancel themselves out.
And we'll be hearing from Sam Brown, the St John's United first team manager, in a few minutes' time. Anyway, moving on to the next fixture, and a meeting of two sides that are really yet to get going this season. Ramsey, back at the Balaclone Stadium, they're up against Russian United.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the start of the season, most pundits were saying, Ramsey are going to be involved, top 2, top 3. It hasn't quite happened for them because at the moment they're in 11th place, and the teams that they needed to beat, it hasn't been a good outing for them. So Anthony Cooper, Andy Perry have got to try and sort that one out. Player-wise, they're there. There's no doubt about it. When you've got a good goalkeeper in James Rice, Dylan Pickles is in there, Dominic Parrish is in there to score goals. Just right the way through, there's a lot of good youth and experience and younger players who are only going to get better as the seasons go by. But, Russian have got a good blend of youth and experience in there. When you look at Stevie Ryden, you've got Aaron Hawley in there, it helps things. But I think, it's going to be a little bit of a tough game for Russian. And I just think Ramsey might pick the 3 points up here and give them a chance maybe to get into that Railway Cup semi.
Well, from the Balaclone Stadium down to Glen Road, and it'll be a meeting of two sides who've had impressive results and performances in the last couple of weeks. Laxey are going to be hosting Foxdale.
this is going to be a belting game. It's a shame we couldn't cover this one because it's a little bit too far out for us to get back. But certainly Johnny Palmer's team had a torrid start, but they've got it together now, scoring plenty of goals, keeping clean sheets, which is key. And I think he'll be tough with that. I know Glenn Walker is due to leave shortly, so he's going away to take up a job, I think it is, in a foreign part. So we'll come with more news on that later on. But certainly Johnny's happy with the way things are going, and if Ben is in the squad, he can add a lot up front. And also when you look at other players in there, if they're not selected for elsewhere, Ethan Hawley being one, it can help things. Tom Cowner score goals, and Aaron Bradley's been in good form in front of goal as well. So I just think Foxdale, we know what they've got. Forward line's really strong, and the form of Jay Charmer, sort of Lee Gale in there, absolutely flying. Going to be a close game, but I just think Laxey will edge it.
And then elsewhere, Onken still looking to get their first win on the board back in the top flight this season, up against the Union Mills team, Tony, that have started well but have had a bit of a blip in the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think we know why that's happened, because obviously Luke Booth's been representing FC Isle of Man, and Tyler Hughes as well. So when you lose them goals, you lose that threat up front. It's going to be difficult to sort of fill them gaps. Nathan Yates, I think, is suspended because he got sent off last week, so he'll start his ban tomorrow. And it just leaves people like Will Miller to come in. And when you look at Owen Quayle as well, he's been missing for a couple of games now, and they've started conceding goals, and I think that's why they haven't got the attack to sort of put the pressure on the opposition's defence, and they haven't got Owen in there who can sort of glue it all together at the back for them. But Onken, as you rightly say, probably in a place that they didn't expect to be, because they had a good transfer season, got some good players in there, but Andy Asbridge doesn't seem to be able to get the goals for them, and he's a massive outlet for you when he can play. But I just can't see Onken winning this one. Good training session last night for Union Millers to win.
Well then, up north, and this could be a very tasty fixture towards the top of the table, the defending champions, Ayr United. They're 3 points off Peel at the top of the moment, albeit though with the game in hand, and they're coming up against second place Corinthians. Yeah, if you remember this one last year, Rob, Ayr United were absolutely flying, and it was Corinthians who beat them up at Andrews playing field. So they're not frightened of it. The team is a lot younger tomorrow as well. Darren Kane's back in from injury, he's on the bench, but Matthew Cooke will play in goal. And when you look at the form of some of the young players in there, and probably the one at the moment who's the pick, he's really banging form, is Noah Vowles, a new signing from Braddon. You've got Nathan Little in there, and you've got all the others young lads that are coming through, Josh Kane. You've got the form of Joe Middleton, who's on par with Tomas next to me here, who's been scoring plenty of goals to keep his team in it. So I'm going to go for Corinthians to actually win this one, because I thought Ayr United last week had to work really hard, but with Phil Donegan getting sent off, that's cost them dearly, and I just think Ayr might find it a little bit tough tomorrow, but Ayr will prove me wrong. There was a cracker 4-4 draw with Peel last weekend. The final game of the Canada Ifans Premier League this weekend comes over at Glencrutchery Road, and that's St George's up against the current league leaders Peel. Yeah, St George's, we don't know what you're going to get, do you? Because what squad they're going to have out there. You know, when you've got Sean Quaid, Chris Bass, Johnny Myers in there, you've got Kieran McNulty, a lot of experience, a lot of age in there, but still quality players. I was critical of Peel when I watched them against Onken, because even though they won, I just thought they were a better footballing team than that. But I saw the Peel that I expected last week. They really did push forward, and even though defensively there were one or two key players missing, it didn't really show at times, and I think they were frightened to death of Rhys Oates and Thomas Brown, because they didn't want to give them too much space. And I just think Peel are certainly, and United, are the two teams that are going to charge for this, and I think Peel will win it tomorrow. And we're going to be here more on the Peel perspective in a few moments' time. Tom Brown joining us in the studio in just a couple of moments. In the meantime, 4 games in Ardern and Druggan Limited Division 2 tomorrow, also all of those kicking off at 2:30. We have Douglas and District versus Colby. Douglas Royal are at home to Castletown, and Governors Athletic are at home to Freescore and Michael United. But the other game, Tony, you're going to be keeping a very close eye on this one. Douglas High School Old Boys, one of the front runners early on, with a couple of games in hand to make up at the top, up against the current league leaders Braddon. Yeah. Why has it changed for Old Boys? That's the question, because they were relegated 2 seasons ago, and now suddenly they're a team that are playing really well. I watched their under-18s on Wednesday, and they were excellent. There's some really good young players coming in, so I expect Old Boys really to push Braddon hard on this one. Braddon dropped points against Douglas Royal, so that was a bit of a shock. But I just think, when you look at the players that Joe Burrows has won, you've got David
Dinkinraid, in there, Dankinraid. And then when you look at other players around there for Braddon, they're really strong, so that's going to be a great game. But I think Old Boys have got enough in their experience and the youth to win that one. Governors against Michael. Governors took a bit of a pasting last week. Michael free scoring at the moment, so you have to go with Michael. Douglas Royal against Castletown. Royal have proved already that they can beat the top teams, but I think Castletown also, who are sort of licking the wounds a little bit with the way the results have gone, but they'll get it right. And Douglas and District against Colby. Colby beaten by Youthy, but Douglas and District are bottom of the table.
Well, that's Ardern and Drug Limited Division 2. Very quickly, we'll take a look through the combination divisions. Canada Life Combination 1, there were 6 games. If you missed it a few moments ago, as Tony announced, Peel versus St George's, that has been postponed. St George's unable to field a team, but still 5 fixtures.
Yeah, still 5 fixtures. St Mary's against St John's. I would normally go for St John's, but they've sort of gone in decline a little bit after I watched them in the combination game against Corinthians, and I thought that's a good side. But I'll go for St Mary's just to sneak that because of the bowl advantage. Russian United against Ramsey. It was these two that challenged it out last year, and it was Ramsey that won it in the end. Russian are looking good. Ramsey have had what I call 1 or 2 really top players in their combination, so we'll wait and see how this one goes, but I'll just edge it towards Russian. Foxton against Laxey. Laxey should win that one. Union Mills against Onken. Onken are top. Unbelievable. Absolutely flying on the promoted side. Corinthians against Ayr United. I'll go with Corinthians, and Peel against the Georges, as we say, has been postponed.
And last but certainly not least, on Saturday, there are 5 games in Ardern and Drug Limited Combination 2.
Yeah, and Colby against Douglas and District. I'll go with Colby. Douglas Athletic against Pulrose. Douglas Athletic proving once again a little bit strong for this league, but we'll see how that one goes. Castletown against Douglas Royal. Castletown do have a team, it's been confirmed, which is good, but I think Castletown will have enough to win it. Michael United against Governors. Michael United to win. And Braddon against Douglas High School. Old Boys, as I say, league tables don't lie. I'll go with Old Boys on that.
And just a very quick mention for the games on Sunday, notably in the Canada Life Women's League, of the 2 games kicking off at 2 p.m, it's a battle of the Titans. Tony, Peel, the title holders against Corinthians.
Yeah, it's a humdinger, and I'll be down to watch this one, and it's just whoever's got the best team out on the day, because I think they really do cancel each other out. Peel won at home last year, Corinthians won at home, so it's just one of them. And I know Dominic Dawson's girls are all fit, looking good, they've trained hard, Peel have as well. So if you're looking for something to do on Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock, get yourself down to Peel and watch the 2 top teams in women's football.
And the other game, the Canada Life Women's League at 2 o'clock on Sunday, Douglas Royal are at home to Maloo. Well, that's a look through the fixtures. Let's take a look at the perspectives, 2 Western perspectives, should we say, both on and off the pitch, plying their trade into different ends of the A1 out toward the West Coast. But one of them has been one of the rising stars of Westerners, Peel, in the last couple of seasons, and has made himself a firm fixture in Peel's first team, challenging for the Canada Life Men's Premier League again this season. The other at the helm of a St John's United side that have made a really positive start to this top flight season. Tom Brown of Peel and Sam Brown of St John's United join us. Tom, going to come to you first. First of all, thanks very much for joining us on the show this evening. And Peel, of course, season before last, champions, narrowly missed out to Ayr United last season. What's the key, do you think, to Peel's high standards in the last couple of years?
I think Peel's consistency has obviously, it's just tenfolded dramatically because of all the hard training that we put in. Obviously, losing Bella and P last year. This year, everyone was a bit unknown who was even going to be the manager from the start of pre-season. Obviously, Kenny's taken on the role. Obviously, he's smashing it as well at the minute. 5 out of 5 wins. Can't really ask for more. No, not 5 wins, sorry. 4, 1 draw, obviously, last weekend. Unfortunate, but we'd have taken that result Saturday morning, so we can't really complain, I don't think.
And for you yourself, individually, you've sort of risen to prominence a little bit in the last couple of seasons, not just in terms of your contributions off the ball, but starting to bang in the goals as well. You made a great start in front of goal. What's Peel been like as a place to develop as someone who's still a young player?
Peel's great to develop as a young player because obviously you got the Tommy Lucas as a facility for all the young lads and the older lads as well. We train in there twice a week. It's great. Through the winter, you don't want to be running, doing doggies out, even on the road. You're going to get maybe 5 or 6 lads of training, and it's just not handy. So we still pull in 20, 25 players to training through the winter So yeah, I feel like the Tommy is probably the best thing for the club, really, for the training. It's just everything's constant and it's consistency. Consistency is key.
And for yourself, not just on the club side of things, but I believe as well that you're sort of making waves in terms of the national setup potentially going forward as well.
Yeah, that started on Wednesday, I think. We had a meeting just about all logistical bits and just to get to know everyone that's there and who's being picked and stuff like that. So yeah, positive for me. Obviously, last time I did miss out. I had a few training sessions, but it's one of them. I wasn't where I was now, so it's always to see nice little improvement.
Now, one thing that's been a debate for the last couple of seasons is the role that FC Alaman plays around, the local leagues. Is it a good thing? Is it not? I mean, do you have any particular views on that at all?
I think it's a good thing. It's obviously hard for like the older lads going away and stuff like every other week because you got to think of like holidays and stuff. Everyone has like a life. You can't really dedicate yourself to football. I mean, obviously people love it and enjoy it, but you just need all that time through the week. Like certain people just don't have enough time in their working life to be able to go away every other week. It's just one of them things, and that's how it is for me. Like I just can't be doing that.
Fair, each to their own. Just one final quick fire question, two-prong really, for yourself and for Peel as well. What are the ambitions this season, individually and as a team?
As a team, I'd say just top 2 or 3. It's because last year it was unfortunate, missed out on, was it a point? Yeah, a point, and it's just one of them, isn't it? Obviously, latter stages of the league, people pulling out of games, and they're just being handed points. We felt a bit just disappointed, really, because obviously the postponement this week, Peter Geordies, that'll be replayed, but last year people weren't putting in teams and it was just being chalked off and now we're getting points, so we felt a bit at a disadvantage, but the result will probably always going to be the same with them boys, so it's one of them. Personal, I would say just more goals than last season's always a good one. Started off well, so happy enough so far.
Well, best of luck for the rest of the season. Tom Brown of Peel, thank you very much indeed. Well, we'll now hand over to the St John's United manager, Sam Brown. So, Sam, it's been a positive start to the season, but as Tony alluded to a little bit of just a few moments ago before we came to you, there was a bit of a blip, I guess, in one of your results recently.
Yeah, we've sort of started the season well, especially the last 3 games. Goals are flying in, working hard, showing the right attitude and discipline as well. That's been one of our Achilles' heel. Obviously, everyone's talking about the 3 points. At the end of the day, we're all volunteers, grassroots football, etc. Someone's made a mistake, so we'll take it on the chin, roll our sleeves up and go again. Simple as that.
Well, that situation to one side, I mean, how have you felt about some of the results and performances your side has had in these early stages?
Yeah, probably our turning point. Tony may agree or disagree, but our turning point was probably playing at home to Corinthians. I thought it was a very good game. Corinthians pipped us in the end, but the actual style of football and the way both teams approached it was really good. And we've sort of gone on from there and then had 3 good wins. Union Mills, Russian, I can't remember the other, but anyway, yeah, sorry, Foxdale. Foxdale was the game that we're talking about, and the 3 points. But at the end of the day, we started okay, and I'm pleased.
And looking forward, obviously there's a lot of football to be played between now and the end of the calendar year, but just a final look really of where you are right now puts you in very early contention for the likes of those Plum Properties Railway Cup spots going towards the latter stages of 2024. How confident are you that your team can be there and thereabouts if they keep up the same efforts and energy levels?
Yeah, if you sort of look at the league table, Peel obviously and Ayr, they're sort of flying. Corinthians aren't far behind, but then I think from position 4, Foxdale, right down to 11, on their day, I feel a lot of those teams can actually beat each other. So interesting times ahead, and still a long way to go.
Indeed. Well, Sam Brown there, the manager of St John's United, thanks very much. And also thanks once again to Thomas Brown of Peel as well this evening. Well, moving on, and after bouncing back to winning ways in midweek, FC Isle of Man are back on the road again tomorrow in the NWCFL Premier Division. They travel to the Silent Knight Stadium tomorrow afternoon to take on Bonwick Town, with the Ravens looking to maintain their current charge on the promotion playoff spots. Well, speaking to Manx Radio ahead of the trip, FC Isle of Man manager Paul Jones says he's been pleased with the results, but believes there's still plenty more to come when it comes to overall performances from his squad.
I say the same thing every week. It's another tough one. There's another difficult challenge against Bonwick. They've not played as many league games because they had a decent run in a couple of cups and have run some teams close higher up the division. So it'll be really difficult. They've got a large part of the squad they had last season, and they'll know their plan, and they're getting very adept at delivering it.
Over the last couple of weeks, it was the same again on Tuesday night. You maybe felt your side rode their luck a little bit at times, but also you've mentioned that September, maybe you've not been playing as well, but the results have largely been coming. Maybe that defeat at West Didsbury to one side compared to August, you were quite happy with how the performances were, but the results weren't coming. Is that pleasing in some ways, that even if you think there's still quite a lot of things that aren't in place, you're still picking up points? Yeah,
I agree. It's really positive. We come away from games happy that we're 5 wins, a draw and a defeat in September is a fantastic haul at this level of football, but we've come away a little bit disappointed with how we've played in possession. It's mainly in possession. I think we've got far better footballers than we're showing maybe at times, but we're doing enough to get over the line, and we're being much more clinical in front of goal, which helps, and we're continuing to deny goal scoring opportunities, and teams have had very few opportunities early on in the season, but we're scoring, and they continue to have few at the moment, and they're not scoring as many, which is probably more normal. Before at the start of the season, they felt like they were scoring every good chance that they got, and that isn't normal. That doesn't continue over the full season. So I'm hoping that we've got more to go. We can create more chances, we can keep the ball better, we can finish more chances, and hopefully from a defensive point of view, kind of this is where we're at. We're kind of around about just over a goal a game conceding at the minute, and that's considering we were up nearly 2 goals a game, over 2 goals a game 18 months ago. Then we're in a really good place defensively. There's more to improve, but I think in possession, now that we're making it hard for teams to score against us, we just need to look after the ball a little bit more.
In midweek, as has been the case in the last few weeks really, we've seen some of the newer additions to the squad still part of the second part of games. We saw Ben Wasser grab a goal on Tuesday night. Luke Booth has continued to be a regular feature in there. We saw Matt Lamb come on as well during midweek. So how impressed have you been with the progress that some of these newer additions have been making over the last few weeks, given that they've been getting more game time on average?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with them. Their attitude and commitment and willingness to do what we need them to do has been brilliant. It's probably a testament as well to the work we did in pre-season and the coaches and the whole group really, in terms of bringing these new players in, or the younger players in, and them getting to grips with how we play really quickly and able then to deliver it on the pitch, and not just once or twice but on a consecutive basis. Like we wouldn't keep them around if they weren't doing a good job and doing what we need. So they've been brilliant, and hopefully it's just the beginning for them. There's lots more improvement for them as an individual to come. It's hard to maintain it over 46 games. The Isle of Man season or Manx season is 20 to 25, 30 maximum games if you go into all of your cup competitions. That's very different to trying to be at your best for 46. So these young players have got that to learn, and we just need to make sure that we don't overstretch them, because there'll be a certain point where they probably need a bit of help, and those experienced players coming back in and from their injuries and availability might just happen at a good time to make sure we maintain that momentum and impetus into Christmas, which we didn't have last season, but it's going to be really important this season.
I think that brings me on quite nicely to my next question in terms of the personnel available for this weekend. We've seen over the last couple of games a couple of the regular faces, if you like, haven't been around for a variety of reasons. What can we expect from your squad this weekend?
Yeah, it won't be too different to what it was on Tuesday night. Jacob comes back in because his work commitments prevented him going on Tuesday. Al Maitland drops out because he has work commitments this weekend that he can't get out of, but largely everybody else is pretty similar. There might be one new face on the bench where we're trying not to go into the local game too much and kind of spread it around a little bit, so as we're making sure players get minutes, but also we're not kind of penalising local clubs who have dual registered players, but we just want to make sure that we're considerate of that as much as we possibly can, whilst also covering the gaps that we have in our squad. So yeah, a couple of changes on the bench, but it's largely the same group that went against Abbey Hay and did really well on Tuesday night.
FC Isle of Man manager Paul Jones ahead of his side's latest trip in the NWCFL Premier Division to play Bonwick Town at the Silent Night Stadium, kick-off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Tony, very quickly before we let you go, FC Isle of Man, they lost late on last weekend, bounced back in midweek. Paul Jones has maintained over the last couple of weeks that maybe his side's performances haven't been the best on the eye, but they've been getting results, and he has been pleased with that in the large part. Thinks there's more potential to come from the squad. Would you agree?
I think so. I'm looking forward to the game next week against Ramsbottom because, they're, right up there at the top of the table, and FC Isle of Man have started to climb up, playing some good football. There's players who've been brought in, and, the players who are more experienced than that, I can't see how they can get back in at the moment because they're playing so well. So I think Paul Jones, everyone involved, should have, a big pat on the back for what they've done, and let's just see how they do this week and also next week and see if they can get up in that top six.
And finally, very quickly, got around 30 seconds here, but in terms of the newer additions that have been coming in this season as well, they've been in to replace originally some of the more regular players who are still missing for a number of reasons, but they've started to make a big impression. Someone like Ben Wasser, for example, scoring in midweek. Yeah,
Ben's a really good player, and I look at Danny Gerrard, who was sort of on the edge of it last year, and he's coming alongside Carl Watson, also Sam Baines. You've got to remember him because he was at university. But I just think, right the way across the board, everyone's playing with a lot of confidence, and it just seems to have sort of gelled together since Steve Whitley started finding scoring boots, because he's scoring for fun now, playing well, and if they can get Charlie Higgins on that left-hand side going, then it's looking really good for FC Isle of Man.
Tony Mepham, thank you very much as always. So a reminder, if you're looking to keep track of the Isle of Man football fixtures across Saturday and Sunday, full details of those kick-off times are over at manxradio.com. And if you're looking to keep an eye on how the Ravens are getting on, FC Isle of Man, they are away at Bonwick Town this Saturday in the NWCFL Premier Division, kick-off at the Silent Night Stadium over in Lancashire at 2 p.m. Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to be taking a quick look at the rugby and hockey circumstances for this particular weekend. Two of the Isle of Man's rugby sides in league action. We're going to be taking a look at those next.
Manx Radio Sport.
Welcome back to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio. We've previously been taking a look through the footballing action that's coming up both on and off the island this weekend, and now it's time to turn our attention to rugby, and two Manx sides return to league action tomorrow afternoon, with both hoping to improve on their slow starts to the season. Douglas host Vale of Loon and Vagabonds visit Coleman Nelson in Regional 2 North West, and Counties 3 ADM Lancs Cheshire respectively on Saturday, with both island sides having registered 3 straight defeats so far. Well, earlier today I caught up with Vagabonds player Daniel Bonwick to get his thoughts on their latest test this weekend and the lessons they've learned so far in these very early stages of the campaign.
It's a good point to build from. We've come up into this league obviously to step up from last season. Teams still building together, starting to join together, starting to get a flavour of how each other plays. Obviously training still ploughing on really hard, but taken away we can see what level we need to be at. We've taken that we need to work on a few specific things, slipped up in a couple of, left probably 3 or 4 tries out over them 3 games, so finishing off a little bit needs to be a little bit better, but it's starting to gel. We're coming on alongside, so hopefully this weekend we can get the win when we go away.
So in these early stages of what you said there's a feeling that there's a good foundation to work off. There's just a couple more things that maybe need to slot into place at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a really good core of players, and we're starting to get that really good core of a whole team now as well, so everyone's starting to fit in, everyone's finding their place, finding their feet, so things are really starting to click now. So bit of maybe early season jitters maybe, but we're starting to get over them now and really build as a team.
This league this year, Counties 3 ADM Lancashire Cheshire, it's a merger effectively from what was also Counties 4 ADM, where you as a team were playing last season. So I think when we last spoke, there was a bit of a feeling of you could have a real contrasting qualities of teams from the division you're in now to what was the division below. Have you noticed that at all in these first 3 games, or is it too early to say?
It's too early to say. Definitely with Garstang last week, we felt that we've seen they've had that level all of last season. We've stepped up to this level, so you could start to see a little bit of contrast, but I felt we did really well against that, and the contrast really shouldn't affect us that much. We know what we need to be playing at, so hopefully we can get to that level pretty sharpish. Off away to England again to play Colin and Nelson this weekend, so another good challenge. We played them before, so we know what they're all about, so hopefully it'll be a good, strong contest.
And Colin and Nelson were one of the teams like yourselves challenging toward the top of counties for last season as well. So does that give you maybe a bit of an insight as to what sort of challenge you can expect?
Yeah, we know we've talked about how they played and what they looked like last year, so we definitely know what sort of game we're going in for this week, so hopefully we can adapt to that, overcome it and take away the points.
We've already spoken just a few moments ago about maybe things that need to click a little bit more, fall into place as the season goes on, but what are the kind of positives, what are the strengths do you think that you're taking in these early stages?
The quick start for us is that we've actually brought in a load of new players, and we've got a load of young lads coming up into the team as well. We've got 2 coming away with us this week, so they've really stepped up and started to fit into the group really well. So like you say, from that, our depth is starting to get really deep as well now, so we've got a lot of people coming in and out position and being able to change so quickly and differently for people that can't travel away or can play at home and not go away. So our depth is getting really good, so we can build a team quite easily now for going away and home. So that's probably one of our strengths, that players are starting to come up and step into the roles that they need to.
Daniel Bonwick of the Vagabonds men's side, they're facing Colin and Nelson in Counties 3 ADM Lancashire Cheshire at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Well, that seems a good time also to bring in Manx Radio's rugby correspondent Dave Christian. And Dave, just listening to what Daniel said there, of course it's not been an ideal start results wise, 3 defeats from their opening 3 games, but he's mentioning one of the big things that they've had at the start of the season is being able to recruit more players into the sport. Just how vital is that?
Yeah, it's very difficult when you've got a small squad, which Vagabonds have, and you're always going to pick up the odd knock, injury. Players aren't going to be always available. They've have work commitments and life commitments as well, and it's a big ask to travel away on a regular basis. So, yeah, new recruits, always very keen to see them. They've had Ed Knight come onto the team sheet from Western Vikings and Norman Winterbatch from Southern Nomads. So they're the 2 new names I've seen. But Colin Nelson will definitely be a stiff challenge for them. They played him twice last season, lost both games. I watched the one at Ballafletcher, and Colin Nelson were a hard-running rugby league team, is the best way to describe them. They're from rugby league country there in Lancashire, and they just ran and ran and ran. Now, Vagabonds have got a very strong tight 5. If they can squeeze the life out of them in the scrummages, they're going to win some ball and they have a chance to attack. But with Colin Nelson playing a fast attacking game, it's going to be very difficult for Vagabonds, I think.
Well, for those who haven't heard already, and Dave, you clarified this a couple of weeks ago, for those who don't know, this is effectively a merger between Counties 3 ADM like Cheshire and Counties 4, the league below which Vagabonds were in, as were Colin and Nelson. Vagabonds, Colin and Nelson and Ashton Underline were all around that top bracket in Counties 4 ADM. So do you think this could be the truest benchmark to date of where Vagabonds could be at in this league this weekend? Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, last season they were the top 3, but Vaggers beat Ashton home and away. But lost to Colin Nelson home and away, so you can't really read too much into it. I think we're still at the early stage of the season. The difficulty is for Vagabonds, they're played 3, lost 3. Those teams at the top end of the table are on 100% records. So, Garstang are on maximum points as well, played 3, won 3 with a bonus point in each game. So even now it's going to be difficult. I'm not sure how the league will split as well at Christmas. As the fixtures are only out up until Christmas, it looks like it'll split into 2 mini leagues. Vagabonds will be probably in the bottom half of that unless their results really pick up now.
Well, turning our attention to Douglas, they're also in an identical position results-wise to start with. 3 straight defeats at the start of their Regional 2 Northwest campaign. They're back on home soil this weekend against Vale of Loon. Dave, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the 2 clubs have got a long playing record, and Vale of Loon have got slightly better. I think they're something like 10-7 in wins statistically, but these these teams have been playing each other for a long number of years. Douglas have flattered to deceive, I think is probably the best way to describe it. They've picked up a couple of losing bonus points, and that for a coach is a great thing. You finish within 7 of the opposition, you pick up a losing bonus point, and those games within 7 are just one-score matches. For Douglas to get 2 of those tells Phil Kringle that he's not too far away from it. He's got some players coming back in. James Ross is a new signing this year. He's had a knee injury that he's been plagued with. They've not used him yet, but he's on the bench tomorrow. So that indicates he's about ready to roll. And aside from that, I think that's the only change. I see a name, Alex Deering, coming onto the bench that I've not seen before, but I think his starting 15 is exactly the same one that picked up 2 points away at Eccles last week. The same front row. Simon Hodder not coming back in is a massive bonus because he's a huge player around the park. Puts in his tackles, but he's mobile for a prop forward. Liam Kirkpatrick has got 2 man of the matches back-to-back now in the back row. We had him up here a couple of weeks ago for Friday Sport Preview, and a really nice chap as well. He's excellent, was Liam. Bryn Snellgrove's come back in the 10 jersey. He kicked all his points last week, everything off the tee. Bryn Snellgrove nailed, so he's going to get another start at 10. It seems to be working for them, so why not? Everything else is looking good. The back line's got plenty of pace in it. Sam McCord's excellent no matter what position you play him in. Everything's looking good for them. I'll be there. We kick off, I think, at 2 o'clock tomorrow for Saturday Live. We'll be covering that match in the afternoon, and hopefully we'll get to see Douglas pick up their first win.
And just very quickly, got about 30 seconds here with regards to Douglas. We did see it last season where it was a bit of a slow start, but after around 6 games, I believe it was, the form really started to pick up and they started to really hit their stride. What are the chances of seeing something similar happen this season, given their start?
Yeah, I mean, the Irish Sea is a geographical boundary like no other. The most expensive stretch of water in the world, people always call it. But that means it's difficult, particularly for Douglas, because they're at a consistently higher level than all the other local clubs. It's very difficult for them to pick up any sort of meaningful pre-season fixtures. And I think that's the root cause of their slow starts. But 2 losing bonus points out of 3 matches. As I said at the start, I think Phil Kringle's got pretty much on the money with this. That team won't have to do very much to start turning losses into wins.
Dave Christian, our rugby correspondent, thank you very much indeed. Well, in the next couple of moments, we are going to be turning our attention to hockey and who can maintain their unblemished starts to the mixed hockey season ahead of the latest fixtures this Saturday. We'll be joined by our hockey correspondent, Ben Cunningham, in just a couple of moments.
Manx Radio Sport.
At EVF service stations, you can fuel yourself as well as your vehicle. Hot and cold food to go, chilled drinks, and even lottery tickets too. Great choice and value to make life more convenient. Fill up, fuel up with Ellen Vannin Fuels. Visit us at evf.co.im. Stocks and offers may vary between locations.
Back pain, neck pain, headaches, joint pain. At Align for Life Spine and Posture Clinic, we've been helping Manx residents for 15 years with our holistic, evidence-based care and therapies. Plus, we're now open Saturdays to make it even easier to see us. Visit our brand new website at alignforlife.com or find us on Facebook for opening hours and more information. Align for Life, 15 years serving the community of the Isle of Man.
I've just called the Guernsey Bank, Skipton International, about our savings.
And did you get a helpful robot?
No. At Skipton International, you speak to a very helpful, real person.
That's refreshing these days.
Well, that's why I chose them, for the perfect combination of personal customer service and some of the best savings rates. All by calling 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com.
Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the Guernsey Financial Services Commission and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. Details at dcs.gg. Terms and conditions apply.
Lost in Music is coming to Villa Marina. The original disco show will take you on an electrifying journey through the sensational 70s, featuring a world-class band and dazzling vocals that will transport you straight to the heart of disco fever. Get ready to relive timeless hits from icons like Donna Summer, Gloria Gaynor, Earth, Wind and Fire, Sister Sledge and Chic, losing yourself in the music and leaving your worries behind. Don't miss out on the feel-good show of the year coming to Villa Marina on Saturday the 5th of October. Book Book online at villagaiety.com, call 600 555 or in person at the Villa Marina or the Welcome Centre.
Manx Radio Sport.
Just heard about the rugby side of things this weekend. Now we're going to turn our attention to hockey, and yet another busy week for game week 4 of the 2024 Isle of Man mixed hockey season. There are still a number of teams with unblemished records all the way from the mixed Premier League down to Division 3 in the senior leagues. We also have action once again this weekend in the mixed under 15s. And to go through everything as usual, with us in the studio is our hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham. Ben, very good evening.
Good evening, Rob.
We're taking a look at the fixtures. Let's dive straight in. We're going to start with the mixed Premier League. We've got 2 games pushing back at the slightly earlier time of 12:35. We'll start off with a battle of the B teams at QE2 in Peel. And Vikings B against Valkyries B. Both sides have lost their opening 3 games, Ben. Big opportunity for some points on the board for either of these sides.
Yeah, massive opportunity. Of course, both sides looking for their first win of the season. However, though, both sides have conceded pretty much the same amount of goals against each other. I mean, looking at the tables here, Vikings have conceded 13, whereas Valkyries have conceded 16. So it'll be a good test, this one. I think this one will be very close. I'm on the fence on this one.
And the other game at 12:35, Ben, this is one that caught your eye, I think, as well at Castle Rushen High School. This is Castletown Celts, 2 wins from their opening 3, just the 1 defeat, up against the defending champions Valkyries A, who are one of 3 teams looking to make it 4 wins from 4.
Yeah, and of course, Valkyries last week only just got a 1-0 win over Vikings B, who were bottom of the league. So it really does show that Vikings B can put up a good fight against Valkyries A, who are, like we say each week, the current champions of the Premier League. Castletown Celts, though, they were the first team to get 2 goals past Vikings A last weekend. So this will be an interesting game. I think Castletown Celts might prove a shock here, and I'm going to go for a Castletown Celts win.
A bold statement from our hockey correspondent. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Well, there were 2 other games in the Mixed Premier League this weekend, both pushing back at 2:05. At the NSC, Harlequins A, they have a really difficult task. They're up against the current league leaders, Backers A, who've been scoring for fun, Ben.
Yeah, 24 goals and only 4 conceded so far this season.
In 3 games as well.
Yeah, in 3 games. So Backers A are really showing that they mean business. Harlequins, though, they'll be on a high after getting that win last weekend. I'm sure Harlequins will do all they can, but Backers A, I think, are going to be too strong on the day, so Backers A win.
And then also at 2:05 out at QE2 in Peel sees Backers B, another of the sides yet to get points on the board, 3 defeats in their opening 3 games, up against a Vikings A side. They're one of those 3 teams, along with Valkyries A and Backers A, that are on 3 wins from 3. How important is it this weekend that Vikings A can keep up that record to keep up potentially with Valkyries A and Backers A?
It's going to be massive, because one little slip up and it could give another team a head advantage. If Valkyries and Vikings were to lose points this weekend and Backers will go on to win, then Backers would have that gap, which they would desperately probably want. But of course, Vikings, though, I'm sure they'll mean business on the day. Backers B, though, I'm sure they'll put up a good fight, but I think Vikings A will be too strong on the day, so Vikings A win.
Well, that's the Mixed Premier League. 3 games in Mixed Division 1 tomorrow. The early pushback is at 11:05 at QE2 in Peel, and that sees Valkyries C third in the table, currently on 4 points, only behind Castletown Southerners on goal difference in second. We'll come to them in a moment. They're up against a Vikings D side who are 3 defeats in their opening 3 games, Ben.
Yeah, Vikings D just haven't quite found their feet at the moment, but they are slowly getting there each week. Against Valkyries C, though, this will be a good test for them. I think Valkyries C, though, will probably just get it on the day, but Vikings D will probably give them a good game. I think it'll be close, though.
And at 2:05 in Mixed Division 1, this could be a real humdinger of a game at Castle Rushen High School. It is a meeting of the top 2. The current leaders, Backers C, 3 wins from 3 on 6 points. Host second place Castletown Southerners, who have 4 points, just 2 points behind. Ben, this could be a great game.
Yeah, and this is one of the games I've got down as game of the day. I've got the Castletown Celts Valkyries A in the Premier League also down as the game of the day. This is going to be really close. You look at the league table. Of course, Backers C are ahead by just 1 win. However, the goal difference, though, for both sides, it's 16 goals for Backers C, 14 goals for Castletown Southerners. and that. But then you look at Bacchus C, they've conceded 6, whereas Castown Celts have conceded only 3. So this could come down to a matter of whose defence is better on the day.
It could do. The other game in Mixed Division 1 of the 3 is at 3:35. Ramsey A against Viking C at QE2. Two sides yet to really get going yet.
Yeah, Ramsey had a great start, but then just the form at the minute just seems to have dropped. But they are slowly picking it back up. However, Viking C, though, they're level on points, but then they have conceded quite a lot of goals so far this season. And I think Ramsey A will probably get the win on the day.
Well, very quickly, we'll take a look through the other divisions. We've got 3 games in Mixed Division 2 as well.
Yeah, it's 11:05. Bacchus Colts against Harlequins B at the NSC. A battle of the top two teams in Division 2. I'm going to go for a Harlequins B win there. 12:35, you've got Ramsey Ravens against Castletown Cushags. I'm going to go for a Castletown Cushags win. And then Castletown Camags against Valkyries D. 12:35 at King William's College. I'm going to go for a Castletown Camags win.
And then 3 games as well in Mixed Division 3 to round out the senior leagues on Saturday.
And the first one's 12:35, and that is Harlequin C against Bacchus Mixed Bucks. This will be a close game, I reckon. I think Bacchus Mixed Bucks might just come out on top on this one. 2:05, we've got Ramsey Rookies against Castletown Cosney. I'm going to go for a Cosney win there. And then 3:35, Bacchus D against Castletown Carricks at Castle Rushen High School. I'm going to go for a Bacchus D win.
And then last but certainly not least, on Saturday we have 3 more games in what is already proving again at this early stage to be a highly contested mixed under-15s league.
Yeah, most definitely. You've really nailed that one there, Rob, and how to describe this league. 11:05 at Castle Rushen High School sees Valkyries against Castletown Savers. 3:35 is Harlequins against Bacchus at the NSC. And then 3:35 at Ramsey Grammar School, it's Ramsey against Castletown Sharks.
And then very quickly, Ben, as well, after this weekend, we turn our attentions to cup competitions next weekend.
Absolutely. So the cup fixtures are on Manx Radio's website, and we are really looking forward to them, absolutely. I think the standout tie for me, I think I've said it numerous times in, week out, is the in the cup replay of the final from last year in the first round between the current cup holders and the current Premier League holders.
Indeed, and as Ben rightly points out there, if you do want to see what next weekend's mixed cup competitions fixtures in Manx hockey look like, head on over to manxradio.com. Ben, thank you very much.
Manx Radio Sport.
Well, finally tonight, after a day of rest yesterday, the Isle of Man under-21s netball side resume their campaign at the World Youth Cup qualifiers in Cardiff tonight. The Manx side take on Scotland at 7 p.m. this evening, having lost their opening 2 matches against the United Arab Emirates and Wales earlier this week. But team coach Amy Griffiths maintains the message before the tournament started. The focus is not on scorelines, but on personal and team objectives. So, how do they feel this experience has gone so far? Well, ahead of tonight's match, I caught up with Amy, as well as players Becca, Cooke and Kenzie, Pizzey.
The first few games have been tough, there's been tough opposition, but we had a rest day yesterday after the first 2 games, so that was quite nice just to recover. And then the 3 games coming up, it's towards the end, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's been a really good experience for us. Nice to get on court and show what we've been practicing, and for a few people to get their first caps.
And I think I just want to reiterate, like Becca said, we've had some really tough games, kind of the first half of this tournament, which we knew coming into the programme. But I've just been really impressed by the work rate and the attitudes of the girls. They've been smashing their targets, their individual and unit work. So absolutely going out there with the right attitude and hopefully some more positive games towards the end of the week.
This one really for Becca and Kenzie, really, in terms of on court. Now, when we spoke to Deb before this tournament, she mentioned the quality of players that were involved in these particular nations, and some of them could be part of some of the elite franchises. So how have you and the rest of the players found it coming up against such a high calibre of opposition?
It's been tough. With me and Kenzie, we've played a few of these players before in seniors and played some hard teams.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to play new players. I think coming from such a small island, you get used to the same kind of play every week. So it's nice to come out and play a different level, really.
Yeah, and that's the only way we're going to get better, is playing tough competition. Because as Kenzie said, on Ireland, you're just playing each other. So it's nice playing tougher competition.
And Amy, from a coaching perspective, one thing that was made clear before you all started this tournament was that the focus was not on results, but hitting those personal and team objectives. What have been those main objectives that you think the team and the players have hit so far?
Yeah, so we've very much split into our unit work, so splitting our shooters, our midcourt and our defence, and having something targeted that gives this a focus and a drive for each game. We've really integrated performance analysis into this tournament, so looking at opposition as well as our own team analysis. So we've set some really tangible targets around our centre pass to shot outcomes, so looking at hitting 60% roughly per game, implementing kind of styles of play like making sure we're hitting circle edge to feed our shooters, making sure the shooters feel comfortable, looking at a kind of rough guide between 80% shooting statistics there, and our defence really looking at how they can challenge and force errors so that we can turn over the ball, because one thing we noted was that our restart turnover, so when the whistle blows for any reason, is a lot more successful at getting to goal than when we take a kind of fantastic, crazy flying interception. We kind of are less statistically safe at getting out into goal. So we've definitely got our targets and we're still working towards those.
Becca and Kenzie, you've both already got quite a bit of experience really in both training and playing with the senior netball setup on the Isle of Man. How much do you think that's helped you both, and maybe some of the other players that have been involved in the senior side of things, going into this, that experience?
I think it's helped me come on leaps and bounds. I think it's been, the one nice thing about the island is you can be integrated into older age groups earlier because there's not as many players, and it's given me so many more opportunities to kind of play above my level and learn how different players play, I guess.
Yeah, I do feel like more of an experienced player on this trip, whereas usually we feel like the younger ones.
Yeah.
But it's nice, like, trying to make sure all the girls who are doing their first caps are okay.
Isle of Man under-21 team coach Amy Griffiths there, and also under-21 competitors Becca, Cooke and Kenzie Pizzey ahead of the Isle of Man under-21 netball team's latest game in the World Youth Cup qualifiers at the House of Sport in Cardiff up against Scotland at 7 p.m. this evening. That's just about all we have time for. A reminder of a couple of the other headlines from the last day. In cricket, the Isle of Man has been crowned Group 1 winners in the Challenger division of this year's European Cricket Championships in Spain. The Manx side took top spot after claiming victory over Estonia by 4 wickets in the Group 1 final at Qatar Oval last night. Both nations now progress to the playoffs, taking place next week. And in darts, the Isle of Man has been back in action this afternoon at the WDF Europe Cup in Slovakia for the men's singles and ladies pairs events. Aaron Bradley has been the star for the Manx side in the men's singles. He got as far as the last 32 phase. Elsewhere, Alan Young exited in the opening round and Robert Nelson and John Halsall reached the second round. Meanwhile, both of the Ireland teams in the ladies pairs fell at the first hurdle. Sarah Taylor and Jessica Corlett beaten 4-1 by the Slovakian pairing of Lucia Jankowska and Katrina Nagyova, and also Margaret Kelly and Nikki Barsley 4-2 defeat at the hands of Sweden's Anna Forsmark and Maud Janssen. And don't forget this evening, if you've missed anything, this programme will be available as a podcast in a short amount of time. Thank you very much for joining us. Have yourself a wonderful Friday evening, whatever you're doing, and have yourself a wonderful weekend as well. But from me, until next time, it is bye for now. Have yourself a very pleasant weekend.
Manx Radio Sport.